I stepped into my brand new house that I had just purchased. Soon after, my younger son, Aaron, and his wife, Hillary, arrived. The two of them were frolicking like children, which slightly exasperated me. Just then, my husband, Daniel, cleared his throat. From today, we're living with Aaron and his wife. Daniel announced this loudly, and I deliberately made a puzzled face. What? Of course. Having Hilly around brightens up the home. We discussed it and decided together. If you oppose, I won't take care of you. But they knew nothing about what I had been secretly doing. Excuse me? I am single, you know? What? What? Daniel, Hillary, and Aaron were amusingly baffled. I told them the truth, and suddenly, Daniel was flustered. Hillary and Aaron also showed signs of panic. But this was just the beginning. I was going to show them a real hell from now on. My name is Grace Cohen. I am a 61-year-old housewife. I live with my husband, Daniel, who is 4 years older than me. Daniel, whom I married through a matchmaking service, has an old-fashioned and stubborn personality. He cannot rest until everything goes his way, and we have clashed countless times because of it. But gradually, I realized it was easier to give in, and somehow we have made it this far. Daniel has recently retired after many years at the same company and is now living on a pension. We have 2 children. Our eldest son, Ryan, is 35 and has already become independent, living alone. Daniel often complains because Ryan is still unmarried, but I am not too worried. The real problem is our younger son, Aaron, who is 33. After graduating from a vocational school, he became a caregiver. However, he could not stick to a job. He would make excuses to quit facilities or suddenly switch to another without warning. His life was never stable, and I was always worried. But 3 years ago, the wind changed direction. After he started working at a certain facility, he changed as if he was a different person, working diligently. And last year, he announced his marriage to a woman who worked at the same care facility. I thought to myself that it made sense. She was probably the reason he had become so motivated. It was a happy occasion, or so I thought until I realized this woman was a dreadful person. The first meeting was a year ago during the face-to-face introduction. I was preparing for hospitality because Aaron's spouse was coming to visit our home. You don't have to be so tense. She's a down-to-earth woman. Though Aaron said this, one naturally tries to make an effort when meeting their son's wife-to-be. As we were preparing, the woman arrived. Nice to meet you. I'm Hillary. Nice to be here. Her frivolous demeanor took me aback, and even Daniel was stunned. Aaron had to step in to smooth things over. Hillary is just very energetic. See, having such a sunny person around makes everyone else feel livelier, right? It's all in how you phrase it. Hillary's demeanor felt more superficial than energetic. Nonetheless, I served the top-grade seafood I had ordered for the occasion. Ah. Seafood. I love it. Oh, good. The introduction continued awkwardly. I learned that Hillary, 23, had been working at the same facility as Aaron since her graduation. She was 10 years younger than Aaron but continued the conversation energetically. I've been a caregiver for a long time, so I'm good with the elderly. If anything happens to your parents, I'll take care of them. Well, thank you. Should I have praised her, or just let it slide? Hillary didn't hesitate to put us in difficult positions. I wondered how old-fashioned Daniel could keep up with her light-hearted banter. I glanced sideways, wondering how to respond, and saw that he was struggling too. Hillary didn't miss a beat and poked fun at him. Dad, you're barely reacting. This is where you're supposed to laugh. She playfully poked Daniel's cheek. I was astonished by her bold behavior. What are you doing? Daniel was flustered, but Hillary was undeterred. Dad, relax, relax. I feared Daniel would explode in anger, but when I cautiously looked at him, he was blushing embarrassingly. Hillary grinned triumphantly. Considering our children were both boys, and Daniel was not used to young women, he had no immunity against such behavior. As Hillary continued her teasing and physical touch, Daniel, although confused, gradually began to dote on her. It was a complex feeling. Aaron just watched and smiled, and I was left bewildered. Noticing my confusion, Aaron smiled and said, "What's up, Mom?" See, Hillary quickly got along with Dad, right? You should open up your heart too. Even if you say that. Really, Mom, you're not into it. It's fine, right? She's bright. It gives me energy too. If I were like Ryan, always lonely and single, I'd become gloomy. Saying this, Aaron mocks his brother, Ryan. These two have never been on good terms. It was always Ryan's role to scold the carefree Aaron. But now, having married before his elder brother, Aaron is quite smug about it. Seizing the opportunity, I admonished Aaron as he complained about his single brother. "What are you saying about Ryan?" Yeah. Mom, you've always favored my brother. But the single brother is a loser. Me, I'm a winner because I got a young and cute wife. Aaron seemed cheerful, and I sighed. Yet, marrying such a frivolous woman, could it really be okay? But it's true that having a partner has made Aaron start working seriously. Since it would be troublesome if he changed jobs again, I might have to overlook some of his wife's rudeness. However, Hillary turned out to be a more formidable woman than I had imagined. Since then, Hillary began to visit our house frequently for no particular reason. She always comes when Daniel is at home. "Hi Dad, I came over again today." Daniel seemed quite pleased, not at all averse. And no wonder. Every chance she gets, Hillary is overly affectionate and touchy with Daniel. Being so closely touched by a young woman must be pleasing for him. But for me, watching their unnatural communication, like something out of a nightclub worker interaction, is unbearable. When I glare at Hillary, she just grins back. "Sorry, Dad is just so cute, I can't help but pay attention to him." "Don't worry, Mom, I haven't forgotten about you." Hillary's misplaced comments exasperated me. Even so, I took a look at Hillary's belongings. Upon closer inspection, all of Hillary's belongings are branded. And she frequently brings expensive-looking sweets as gifts, claiming they are souvenirs. She seems to be doing quite well for herself. Can a caregiver's job really be that profitable? Sensing my doubt, Hillary cheerfully responded, "Oh, this bag and clothes are recent purchases. I got promoted. My boss always says I'm good at winning over the elderly. I get liked too easily." Hillary laughed smugly, and Daniel nodded in agreement. "That's right. Hillary is always so cheerful, talking to her makes you feel good." Before I knew it, Daniel was calling her Hilly, shocking me completely. That the old-fashioned, stubborn Daniel has opened his heart this much. As Hillary and Daniel grew closer, the relationship between Daniel and me grew more strained. Daniel now talks about Hillary all the time. How cute she is, how lucky Aaron is, and it always ends with, "If I were 40 years younger." It's disgusting how an elderly man can be so smitten with a young woman. Actually, there was something important I needed to discuss with Daniel. There had been talks about buying a new house. Our current house is getting old, and we wanted to leave a new home for our children. But lately, Daniel has been so infatuated, always muttering, "Hilly, Hilly," with hearts in his eyes. It's impossible to talk to him, so the plan is completely stalled. How long will this situation continue? I tried to get Aaron to stop it, but it had no effect. What are you misunderstanding? Hillary is just sociable. Besides, Dad has quit working and has time on his hands, so it's just right. Don't be jealous of Hillary, it's shameful. Aaron retorted. During these gloomy days, something happened that finally made my anger explode. One morning, Daniel was unusually restless. I'm going out for a bit. With that, he quickly went outside. He didn't say where he was going, and I didn't ask. By this time, the relationship between Daniel and me had deteriorated further, and we rarely spoke. When the sun set, Daniel suddenly returned. We're back. We're back. For some reason, Hillary and Aaron were also there. Seeing them both carrying many bags, I had a bad feeling. It was so much fun. I love how generous Dad is. Saying this, Hillary clung to Daniel's arm. Watching her, Daniel grinned smugly. It was a nauseating sight. From their conversation, it seemed they went to a department store. And Daniel bought a lot of clothes and bags for Hillary and Aaron, using his own money. My body was trembling with anger, but I tried to calm myself. After they returned, I decided to confront Daniel. What's this about? Buying so much. Did you just buy whatever those kids asked for? What's wrong with opening my wallet for my kids? Faced with Daniel's defiant attitude, I looked at him with contempt. Kids? They're both grown adults. They work, so they should be able to buy their own things, right? And where do you have so much money from anyway? Caught off guard by my pointed question, Daniel hesitated for a moment. He tends to spend freely when he feels generous, so we don't have much savings. When pressed, he reluctantly confessed, I took it out of my pension. From your pension? You're not getting that much. If you keep spending like this, it'll be gone in no time. Really, both the buyers and the one asking are out of line. To be so easily manipulated by such a frivolous woman. Shut up. Daniel yelled loudly, cutting off my words as if to stop me. His face turned bright red, fitting the description of a boiling kettle perfectly. Are you defying me? Then, from somewhere, he produced a divorce paper and thrust it in front of me. The document was already signed. As I was confused, Daniel continued shouting. Hilly is a kind-hearted good girl. What do you know about her? If you insult Hillary anymore, I will divorce you. His reasoning was absurd. Overwhelmed by Daniel's fierceness, I tried to calm him down. However, the situation only worsened, and we ended up more estranged than before. How serious was Daniel? Was it really worth getting so angry to wave a divorce paper around? Feeling the situation escalating, I decided to consult with my eldest son, Ryan. I waited for a moment when Daniel was not around. Then picked up my smartphone and made the call. Hello, Ryan? Mom? What's up? It had been a while since I heard Ryan's voice. He was busy with his job and didn't visit home much, but he was still as kind as ever. Actually, I'm having some trouble. I briefly explained the recent situation. Hillary's overly affectionate behavior towards Daniel. Daniel, who dotes on her and buys her anything, and Aaron, who watches it all with indifference. The situation had even escalated to a divorce debacle. After I finished explaining, I sighed deeply. That's what's happening? That sounds tough, Mom. Yes, it is. I'm at my wit's end with them. Lately, I've really been thinking about actually getting a divorce and moving out of this house. I think a divorce might be the best option. But there's no need for you to leave. Rather, they should be the ones to go. Ryan spoke firmly, and I tilted my head, puzzled. What do you mean? I have a plan. I can't talk about it yet because of my job. But when the time comes, I'll tell you. For now, let's proceed with the preparations for the new house. You haven't progressed with the house discussion with Dad, have you? Then, Ryan shared his plans for the future. I myself felt that I could no longer continue this life. It seemed I had no choice but to follow Ryan's plan. After hanging up the phone, I finally made up my mind. Time passed, and I purchased a newly built single-family home in the neighborhood. Daniel was surprised by my sudden action and began to complain. Doing things on your own. Where did you get that kind of money? That money. It's none of your business. I responded indifferently, and Daniel was silent for a while. But soon after, he began to secretly move around with Hillary and Aaron. I could guess what they were thinking. Following Ryan's instructions, I let them do as they pleased for a while. The contract went smoothly, and finally, it was the day of the handover. Daniel and I stepped into the new house. For some reason, Hillary and Aaron were also there. This is the new house. It's so lovely. The kitchen is big, and you can see the living room from here. Cooking will be a breeze. New builds are really the best. My study will definitely be in the sunniest room on the second floor. Watching Hillary and Aaron frolic like children, I made it clear. Oh, you aren't the ones who will be living here, you know? Hillary and Aaron laughed mischievously at my words. Daniel cleared his throat. From today, we're living with Aaron and his wife. Daniel declared loudly, and I deliberately made a puzzled face. What? Of course. Having Hilly around brightens the home. All you do is complain incessantly. Hilly, Aaron, and I have discussed and decided this. I had thought as much. The secretive talks lately must have been about Hillary and Aaron forcing their way into living together. Hillary cheerfully answered that they were already planning to move out of their apartment and had even arranged for their belongings to be delivered to this house. If you oppose, I won't take care of you. Hillary grinned mischievously. No complaints allowed. A wife should listen to husband. Daniel was as forceful as ever. I sighed. They knew nothing. I had been secretly coordinating with Ryan. Excuse me? I am single, you know? My words left Daniel and Hillary stunned. What? What? I've already filed for divorce. Remember, you handed me the divorce papers during our last argument? I quickly filled out my part. I spoke with a smile, leaving the three of them looking confused. Why would you do something like that on your own? That wasn't serious. But you were the one who said it. If I defy you, we divorce. Well, I don't plan on listening to you, so I chose divorce. What are you talking about? I've always thought you were stubborn and selfish, but I tried my best. However, I've reached my limit. My patience has run out. I spoke with a broad smile. It feels incredibly good to speak my mind clearly. I realize now, I've been holding back too much. Daniel panicked, trying to argue back, but Hillary interjected. Come on, Dad. It's fine. Let Mom leave. We're staying here anyway, right? Well, no, but... Daniel hesitated because of money issues. Unfortunately, that's not going to work. This house is in my name, and I bought it. So, you two will be the ones leaving. What? Hillary seemed to think the house was bought with Daniel's money. However, the house was purchased with cash, and it was my money, not Daniel's. Unaware of this, Hillary must have felt safe following Daniel, thinking he would take care of everything because he was always boasting about his assets. Wait, what? Dad always said he had plenty of assets and could easily buy us a couple of houses. What's going on? Well, it's simple. About 10 years ago, I inherited an estate from my late parents. It was strictly my inheritance, not a joint marital asset. Probably, Daniel, wanting to impress Hillary, pretended he owned those assets himself. In other words, he was pretending to be wealthier than he was. The gifts he gave Hillary were actually from his meager pension, but of course, she and Aaron had no idea. And Aaron, my younger son, didn't know I had assets either. Given Aaron's irresponsible nature, there was a risk he would depend on the inheritance. That's why I never told him about it. So neither Hillary nor Aaron could imagine that I, a mere housewife, had more money than they thought. They were deceived by Daniel, who boasted of being rich and promised them a house. They were completely fooled by his words. However, Daniel doesn't really have much in savings. In reality, I was the one who provided the funds for the purchase. Now, with me filing for divorce, Daniel and Hillary, who are essentially strangers, cannot live in this house, which belongs to me. That's why Daniel, upon realizing I had actually proceeded with the divorce, started complaining frantically. He never truly intended to divorce, it was just a threat during arguments. When I told him I had completed the process, he panicked, truly a man of small courage. As I explained this situation, Hillary and Aaron were shocked. Hillary's clinginess to Daniel was obviously motivated by money. Considering how she had him buy all sorts of brand items, it was easy to guess. Hillary's face soured when her plans fell through. What? A penniless old man. This is the worst. Then you're useless to me. I even wasted my kindness on you. Wait, what? Daniel was shocked and slumped down. It was pitiful to see my stubborn husband collapse from a young woman's words. Just then, the front door slowly opened. As the person entered, Aaron was the first to speak out.
Ah.
Ryan. Why are you? It was Ryan, my eldest son. Beside him stood a graceful woman, his fiancée, Michelle. Ryan had been single for many years, but he was in a serious relationship. Michelle, the same age as Ryan, was a respectable woman, a stark contrast to Hillary. It would be rude even to compare them. I had been introduced to her by Ryan just recently, and I knew they were planning to marry soon. The news had been delayed due to the troubles with Daniel and others. So it was decided to inform the rest of the family later. This house was actually purchased for Ryan and Michelle, while Daniel, Hillary, and Aaron were secretly plotting. We had been planning with Ryan and Michelle, deciding firmly on the future. This house belongs to me, Ryan, and his fiancée, Michelle. You strangers have no right to live here. Hearing this, Aaron became outraged. What? That's ridiculous. Giving the house to Ryan, who just shows up later.
Yeah.
We've already given up our apartment. We have nowhere to live now. What are you going to do about us? Hillary and Aaron were hysterically screaming, making a scene. Unperturbed by their disgraceful behavior, Ryan calmly responded. A place to live? Don't worry, you won't need to worry about that. Huh? Your new residence will be behind bars. Ryan declared this calmly, and immediately, the color drained from Hillary and Aaron's faces. What are you talking about? That makes no sense. In their panic, their eyes darted around helplessly, and sweat began to bead on their foreheads. Ryan then began to calmly explain the criminal acts they had committed. It turned out Hillary had been embezzling money from residents at the facility where she worked. She would sweet-talk elderly residents into giving her their bank cards, and then withdraw money to keep for herself. Of course, Aaron knew about it. When his wife first confessed to the crime, he was surprised but found it a lucrative scheme and helped her. Their method was simple: target those who were isolated or rarely visited by family, ideally elderly individuals showing signs of dementia. They chose victims unlikely to notice a bit of their money missing. After identifying their target, Hillary would use her audacity in communication and excessive physical touch to lower their guard. Once the victim completely trusted her, she cleverly persuaded them to hand over their cash card. She then obtained the PIN and withdrew money. The money obtained was spent on entertainment. She splurged on branded clothes and bags, and also enjoyed traveling and gambling. Hearing this explains why Hillary seemed so well off. She claimed to have been promoted, but all the money was obtained by deceiving kind elderly people. Now that her true nature has been revealed, she seems not just a cheerful woman, but a terrifying one. Normally, Aaron should have condemned Hillary's crimes. Instead, he became complicit, which is outrageous. His continued employment made sense now, there was a scheme behind it. For the irresponsible Aaron, it was a workplace where he could easily make a lot of money. Of course, he wouldn't quit. Arrest warrants have already been issued for you too. Be prepared. Hillary and Aaron turned pale at Ryan's firm words. In fact, Ryan is a police officer. His fiancée, Michelle, is also a policewoman. The way the police became aware was simple. Hillary and Aaron's operations became sloppy as they repeated their crimes. Eventually, a resident's family member noticed. Suspicious about unfamiliar withdrawals, the family consulted with the facility staff. The matter was escalated to the facility director, who then consulted the police. The department handling fraud and embezzlement is the Second Investigation Division. Coincidentally, Ryan had been transferred to this division this year and was assigned to the investigation. It soon became clear that the crimes were the work of the staff. However, they kept their activities discreet to avoid alerting the criminals, who might flee. Eventually, their investigation led them to Hillary and Aaron. Ryan sighed as he spoke. I never thought I'd have to arrest a family member. I'm disappointed in you, Aaron. Your attitude of escaping from hardship and seeking an easy life hasn't changed at all. In fact, it's gotten worse. Normally, one would stop their spouse from committing crimes, not join them in escalating the situation. This is the height of folly. Aaron flinched at Ryan's sharp words. Instead, Hillary defiantly shouted, "Come on. Arresting us is an exaggeration. All our targets were lonely old people who no one visited. I listened to their stories diligently. They were delighted like fools. It's only natural for me to take some money for doing something good." Such twisted logic. Aaron quickly made excuses as well. That's right. Hillary, who always listens with a smile, was liked even by the old men in the facility. I think they didn't mind, like giving pocket money to a grandchild. What are they even saying at this point? Justifying a crime is absurd. I never thought they could be so corrupt. I glared at Hillary and Aaron with contempt. What nonsense are you spouting? Withdrawing someone else's money without permission is theft. You're audacious to justify your criminal actions like that. Both of you are despicable to the point of making me sick. I never want to see your faces again. As I shouted, Hillary and Aaron still mumbled complaints. Ryan, exasperated by the two, said, "We'll listen to your excuses at the police station." On his cue, police officers who had been waiting outside entered the house. They surrounded Hillary and Aaron, who were visibly shocked by the sudden turn of events. In the midst of this, Daniel, who had been silent, stood up. Grabbing an officer's arm, he exclaimed, "Wait. Could there be some mistake? I can't believe that Hilly would do such a thing." Still stubbornly blind in his belief in Hillary, his denial was almost laughable. Ryan looked at his father and spoke in a stern tone. "Dad, you need to see reality. Hillary and Aaron are criminals. There are many victims. Therefore, the two of them must be punished. If you interfere, I'll have no choice but to arrest you for obstructing justice." Upon hearing Ryan's words, Daniel seemed even more shocked. He let go of the police officer's arm and stood there stunned, looking like a shell of a man. Hillary and Aaron were taken away in a patrol car without even glancing at Daniel. They are likely facing a grim period ahead. I've always scolded Aaron for any wrongdoing since he was young. Yet, he ended up aiding in such crimes. Clearly, my lessons never resonated with him. There's nothing more I can do now. Even if Aaron hadn't met Hillary, he probably would have ended up on a similar path sooner or later. As a parent, I can only hope his deeply corrupted heart finds some redemption in his future life. After some time, the two were arrested for embezzlement. The prosecutor sought a 7-year sentence for Hillary, the main perpetrator. Aaron, who joined the crime later and assisted Hillary, received a 3-year sentence. Though most of the stolen money was spent on entertainment, what remained was returned to the victims. While explaining their actions at the police station, it seems they began to realize their guilt and were reportedly crying, offering confessions of their sins. However, it's too late once the crime is committed. I hope they truly reflect on their actions during their time in prison. And as for Daniel, who blindly trusted Hillary, he became profoundly dejected afterward. He was particularly shocked that Hillary and Aaron had been committing crimes, especially since he had so easily opened his heart to Hillary's cheap flattery. He deeply regretted it. "I thought I was good at judging people," I scoffed at Daniel as he hung his head in shame. "What are you talking about? You were easily deceived by a simple seduction. Now that you'll be living alone, make sure to keep your wallet tightly shut and don't pretend to be more than you are." Daniel groaned, holding his head. Later, he moved to a decrepit apartment that's notorious for housing destitute elderly people. Seemingly becoming paranoid from being deceived by Hillary, he has decided not to open his heart to anyone anymore. Even when a few relatives and acquaintances call, they all eventually drift away due to Daniel's curt demeanor. However, when Ryan contacts him, Daniel, although still sparing with words, does respond. And invariably, he ends with an apology. "I'm sorry." This apology likely includes his regret for obstructing the police, and for being harsh on Ryan for being single for so long. Ultimately, between Aaron, who married a criminal, and Ryan, who found a solid partner after marrying late, it's clear who ended up happier. As for me, I now live in this new house with Ryan and Michelle. And one more person. This year, a baby girl was born to them, making us a family of 4. She is adorable, resembling both her parents. After a year of maternity leave, Michelle returned to work. I have taken on the household chores and childcare to support Michelle, who is eager to work hard. Thank you so much. I feel safe leaving her with you. I have built a good relationship with Michelle, who is always grateful and trusting. I'm truly relieved that Ryan found such a wonderful partner. After everything that's happened in the latter half of my life, the stormy days seem to have finally passed. Now, I look forward to a peaceful retirement, squinting happily at the gentle spring sunshine.